You all right there, Jack? Are we caught up in our own do-good bullshit, repeating our necessary cycles of externally based worth? With the upcoming new moon in Taurus, we will all face some home truths around the actual cost of living or not, and how this impacts our own codes of creativity. From the vibrational salary of our soul, guiding us to look at any invested stories in order to examine the wealth divide of our own divinity. Is money the root of all evil, or a collective consciousness sent to reclaim our own feminine growth? Can we really ask for a return of this power whilst refusing or denying her presence in our own first-class opinions? Find out in this week's blog. It had to be her. There was no getting away from it. I had taken the notes for this week's new moon blog on Earth Day after all. It had to be her. Why I did what I did. With my own counselling session cancelled, intent on completion, it was sickness and absence of a female witness that gave me time to observe my own patterns. It had to be her. My own injustices around abundance, watching Katy Perry's Lack of Gravity as the lyrics to Money by Pink Floyd rang in my ears. It had to be her. Frustrating in the mixed messages, giving little away, moving me through any do-goody-good bullshit, aided by elusive dreams of oppression, snakes, wolves and fears. It had to be her as I restored balance, secretly struggling with the money I'd received from a recent car boot, sharing freely as a result yoga mats to an awakened Egyptian belly dancer, as well as support cushions for a mother and child in need. It had to be her, the fumes hitting my chest, congesting my heart, as the womanly chimney sweep removed extensive tar while speaking of all that was wrong with the world from a fire that no longer burns in my home. It had to be her, transforming the cycles I find myself in. Burning snakeskin found from years ago, ironically on St. George's Day, whilst packing up the life I've known. Burying the damaged angelic figurine gifted to me in ceremony as I released my anger, working with rather than slaying any resistance through my own Mary Magdalene Ocean and Zadkiel tuning fork healing. It had to be her. It was elemental, really, a spiritual necessity. In the Marvel depictions of celestial heroes I watched last night, the inevitable passing of the Pope, a rebirth celebrated not only through Christ consciousness, the return of Venus, but with Easter occurring on 420, plant medicine. It had to be her at the root of all. My own Lilith, waking me to a far deeper awareness of Inanna and what I'm being asked to retrieve, from the role of the lymphatic system in purification to my own patriarchal restriction of any recreation found only in a more embodied flow and the medicine this brings. It had to be her, as I journal my regrets to my late mother, born from misunderstandings of feminine ancestral power. Because it always was. It had to be. Her. Me. Throughout it all, often in the shadows, now returning from my own descent. I believed naively it was the home, relationships, job, health, wealth, spirituality I needed. It wasn't. It was her. Me. I know this now as I find myself back in an ancient vibration. A combination not only of the many women that have reminded me of myself over the last few days, quote unquote good and bad, but the dragon, galactic, angelic, Egyptian, earthy frequencies moving through me. It had to be us. Always. The feminine. As I, like us all, slowly reveal what this actually means, how I have pushed this wisdom away, given it a price tag of worth based on everything from money to likes, boundaries through to lessons. With the support of the many distractions used by, against, and at times for me, to remember a primordial truth now rising, individually and collectively, the deliverance of the goddess, the energetic emergence of our own divinity from within. Something we will all come face to face with this new moon in Taurus as we recognize the influence we have as co-creators. The richness of life we choose to invest in, beginning obviously internally, by looking authentically at where we find ourselves. In reality, what we have been avoiding as a result. Only in acknowledging the part we play in anything occurring right now can we hope to become clearer on what we want, or rather who we are, and from here transform all that prevents this authentic alignment, us included. Being a super new moon, we can expect a stronger pull both on tectonic plates, increasing seismic activity, and our own closer to home scenarios for the potential they are now offering, no matter how it may seem. This being one of the largest emphases. How things appear to us based on the narratives we continue to represent. How willing we are to let them go and her in. With support from Mars in Leo from the 18th of this month, there is a wonderful opportunity to communicate what it is we bring to the metaphorical table, provided, of course, we can regain momentum over conflict regarding our own creative flow. Now is a time to look at where any ambition has overtaken sustenance and the impact that may have had or continues to expect from the more spiritual perspectives of anything we are trying to achieve. By observing any power plays, particularly those of dictated over presumptuous sovereignty against the environments we find ourselves in. On the 26th, we will also experience the third opposition between Mars and Pluto. The previous being in November, pre-elections, and January amongst the severe fires in America. With such combustible energy palpable in the collective, any integration from this, at times brute masculine force, can only come in the receptivity of a more intuitively led and divinely accepted feminine darkness. As despite Mars no longer squaring Eros, we are being prepared for a grand cross alongside this shadow moon. Increased greatly by Neptune, Mercury, and Chiron in Aries, with a fixed position of the Sun, Moon, Mars, and Pluto. Meaning, on the one side, we can expect inspired, increased determination, willpower, and tenacity through tension and necessary resilience to direct such power, bringing potential justice, spiritual leadership, strong moral compasses, and inner truths. Or, in the less mature hands, infidelity, abandonment, particularly our long-term dreams over quick fix lusts and desires, restlessness, and the unrestrained hidden dangers of decadent tendencies. In focusing rather than shying away from what is rising now, especially in our emotions and oceans of the world, we may just find the regeneration required to deliver the more advanced human biology we've all been carrying in our potential. Provided we can remain grounded, connected to the earth and at peace in any uncertainty. Supporting the necessary integration of ancient blueprints by trusting our own often forgotten, pressurized rhythm, rather than submit to stubborn, forcible fixations around abundance and what this actually means on a cellular level. Reminding us, it is one thing to speak of the world we imagine or claim to offer, but another to embody its teachings as we approach a new era of alignment that comes not only in our thoughts and wishes, words and contributions, but deeds of receptivity if we are to be in and of service. With prospects of solid, realistic planning, we are being presented with a more expansive perspective around our own creations. If we can embrace it was never really about getting clear on what we wanted, but our own ability to ask, gather, and ultimately initiate these energies from within us. Linked to the Five of Pentacles in the Tarot, this lunar phase is more than a still point of time, but a shared scarcity of soul. A lack of divine depth in all we see, ourselves included, tempting us with indulgence and sensual pleasures, promising comfort, material support, and simple joys. It is a portal of stability regarding how safe we actually feel to be ourselves, and the cost this has had on the traditions we remain loyal to, including family obligations and responsibilities. If we are to determine those that anchor or weigh us down, helping us to decide how we invest in the times to come, be it purpose, focus, or sacrifice. As our primal urges and no longer subtle obsessions confront any shadow discrepancies we may have hidden. Only by descending into our desires can we help to transmute any trauma born from the fear, shame, guilt, and repression of separating the vibration that runs through them both. Us, for the medicine of recreation this ultimately brings. Involving the fixed star Hamel, we may see dangers rising, particularly regarding leadership and power or destructive ambition, for the mirrored darkness within our own oppression of these attributes within. Guided to focus on what does flow rather than manipulate or aggressively force what is yet to form, it is only in choosing solid foundations over outcome we can collectively avoid any cruelty, particularly to our own creative process, and the less than sacred, consequential feminine rage that could follow, both in our own relationships, bodies, and Pachamama herself. We must recognize we are not separate from any of it. The earth, trees, animals, light, dark, yin, yang, or any other polarities we have funded in order to remain somehow pious. This division has done nothing to serve humanity or bring hope. Rather, it continues to segregate any nurture, forgiveness, faith, or for some, clear direction sought, disconnecting them from the munay of unity. Love. Of course, when we do embrace this great power, we can expect the balance of responsibility and the realization it may have been this we were avoiding all along. Linked to the asteroid Isis, the divine healer and mother of harmony and rebirth, only in gathering up all we have surrendered during the great darkness many have experienced will we ever gain any restoration, especially the versions of ourselves we may have tried to eradicate. Through the at times uncomfortable knowing, no power can be given away, merely shunned, unappreciated, and denied from within. Despite how it may feel, this new moon brings with it a time of wholeness and resurrection via purity and intent around rebuilding, not demolishing, progression. Meaning we must acknowledge what growth is and requires. The connection to solid foundations, a safe, caring environment, movement towards, not away from our own light, and equal time in the shade or dark night of the soil. Rather than avoid this space of omnipresence, where material wealth alone cannot fill the void we are all on some level feeling. If we can embrace any defenses that appear here, we will regain focus, witnessing the external, reflected, outdated structures, teachings, and systems that have consumed us also disintegrating from our own attention. By looking at where we feel deprived, honesty, with agency, beyond the surface, for there is wisdom in lack, not only in the cultivation of gratitude and resilience, but the ultimate return of a more soul-led abundance. Different for us all, it is this greatest need of self-actualization and acceptance that will form the very basis of all we are here to offer. Meaning any refusal of this will only seek to produce a more poverty-minded consciousness, regardless of the demands we attribute to it. Relationships, health, money, alignment comes in many forms, but it is our ultimate understanding of who we are. Anything we may be experiencing or lacking in response to this is merely the undercurrent sea of our own energetic establishment. Although subtle, if we can concentrate on what has changed, we can access vibrational frequencies that are different to anything we have encountered, through an innate remembrance that any possibilities can only be seen through our own pensive worth. Slow and steady, for now it is best to concentrate on what will nourish us in the long term, utilizing our heart's wants and needs as the grounding of a more stable, foreseeable future. Advocating we make the most of where we are. Slow down. Take time to reorganize our priorities whilst we honor what we long for, rather than overspending our most valuable resource of time on often fixed views of what we don't. With Venus, the ruling planet of Taurus, in recovery from her own retrograde, we can expect gentle inspiration regarding relationships, communion, and beauty through the introspection of institutions that don't uphold these, our own especially. Indicated in global representations of means-tested formulas regarding worth, we may subsequently see this in the instability of financial markets, alongside any imbalances regarding love, connection to the physical, be it our bodies or space travel, and the budget we are all being asked to redefine in living beyond our own needs, stories included. By personally prioritizing our own habits, particularly energetic cycles, we are being given a chance to question the cost of our current living existential crisis, if we are to determine the priceless position of our own conscious codes of creativity. It will take effort to step outside of any programming and rewire ourselves back into a higher vision, meaning we may just need the challenging times ahead to make the shift. A final push for mankind to define what empowerment of the feminine looks like in our current age, through the personal prosperity we will ultimately hand down for generations to come. This isn't just about Venus or a Taurus new moon, what celebrities choose to spend their money on, how many leads, contacts, and sales we can obtain, or the spiritual hierarchy of remaining woke in a world that, let's face it, any of us at one point has wished to not see. We are all collectively being asked to recognize it is about it all. There's no separation. Every occurrence is a multifaceted face of the one, the connection we all share, the unique viability of our own vibration, and the much needed abundance that this can bring. To the many inequalities we are all, one way or another, like it or not, supporting through division, labeling, and the human need to understand something that has always been within them. Presence. The power of now. Worth, love, the simplicity of transformation, the remembrance of purity, divinity, not without our experiences or lessons, or solely based around them, but integrated as them in all we do. For the gateways continuously back to ourselves. They may not always require the dramatic descents we have become accustomed to, as more of us recall rather than recoil this wisdom from within, for the unwavering strength and steadiness, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in, of our own expression, amongst every step that has led us where we are, each example that has returned us towards our self-wealth. As from here, we acknowledge the security we seek may be the very areas we have been subconsciously avoiding. If we are to free up the intensity of a repressed spiritual duality, now needed to convert any patterns back into their raw, primal form of potential. Finally, with Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces, our values and dreams are actually likely to feel more grounded the less distracted we are, empowering us to admit the only difference in their possibility is the conflict in frequency between them and us. Forming a harmonious sextile to Uranus in Taurus, no matter how we navigate this new moon, we can expect the unexpected, yet essential, to break us away from limitations in a more response-able manner, making the best way to experience it all, ironically, in space, providing room for the personal impulses and connection of our own viewpoint to become the evolution of the environment we are part of. Balancing patience and courage held by the things that give us gravity, receiving more of what brings us the completion of abundance, we will find ourselves able to make more considerable, decisive actions as each opportunity rises, by exploring what lifts us up as a way of making sense, rather than chase or force any visions we may have. Occurring on the 27th of April at 8:33 p.m. UK time, this super new moon in Taurus promotes the numerical frequency of the High Priestess, Emperor, Empress, Hierophant, Strength, Lovers, and Hermit overall. Once again, aligning us to the collective vibration of conclusions, as we are continually reminded that it is the mastery of our own consciousness that will bring forth any change we seek. May we all appreciate that to be worthy of any rise, we must recognize the not-so-readies we are stashing away. In deepest munay, I ask you now, is it your birthright? You know where I am. Take care. Kirsty.